Welcome back to the arcade for another arcade fix. Today I'm just going to go over what my plans are with this TeamPlay multi-board, the Centipede, Millipede, Missile Command, and Let's Go Bowling game. As you know, in prior videos, I got this game working. The wiring harness had been hacked up, and I had to recreate some of the harness and get everything working again. So now that it's working, I think I'm going to put it in that kicks cabinet, which had the Capcom bowling game in it. Okay, so the problems that I was having is that even though this is both are JAMMA games, the Let's Go Bowling and the TeamPlay board, the inputs for the trackball are different, and the TeamPlay board uses 3 buttons where the Capcom Bowling board only uses 2 buttons. So the problem was to be able to use this in a cabinet with one harness, and I'm planning on using a JAMMA switcher. I would have to have a way to remap the controls for one of the games. So since the harness is a TeamPlay harness, I decided to leave it be, so that won't be a problem. But the problem is with this Capcom board. What do I do about that? So the easiest way to do is I've just fixed an adapter. And this is a homemade adapter. Got these JAMMA Adapter boards. I probably had them for 20-25 years. So anyway, I got one. I got the edge connector. I had to solder the edge connector on this end. This side has the little notch out for the key for the JAMMA harness. And basically it's just a go through, because the JAMMA standard is pretty standard. But I did have to address the 3 buttons versus the 2 buttons. So on the TeamPlay board you have the left, center, and right button. The left button is on the JAMMA harness wiring is button number 1, button number 2, and button number 3. On the Capcom Bowling, it only has the left and the right button. It doesn't have the center button. But if you plug that board into the TeamPlay harness, it uses button 1 for left and button 2 for right. So we just had to remap the button 2 to button 3. And the way I did that is on the board right here, I just made a little jumper to go from where button 1 is over, well, from where button 2 is over to where button 3 is. So that was no problem. The other problem was the trackball. So what I had to do is I had to, the 4 wires that go to the trackball for the signals, for the 2 wires for the X and 2 wires for the Y, or the horizontal and vertical, however you want to say it, they had to be switched around, because like I say, they're different between the 2 games. Now, is that going to pose a problem with a switcher? Because I believe the switcher that I got doesn't switch the control inputs. So I'm wondering, since the one that I'm going to use powers both boards up at the same time, I believe it only switches the monitor output and the coin buttons and I think everything else is wired up the same on both boards. I mean, the connections are identical. So is that going to pose a problem? I don't know. Let's find out. Okay, let me show how I'm doing this JAMMA adapter. This is an old school one, before people used to make them ready to plug and play. You would get one of these little cards here, and it would be set up where you could plug your JAMMA harness on one side, and the other side you would have an edge connector that you solder to both sides of the terminal. And this one is just going to be a JAMMA to JAMMA because I got to remap the trackball controls and one of the buttons. But in the old days, what you would do is whatever board you wanted to convert to JAMMA, it may be a different size adapter or whatever. You just, however many it was, like if you had a 44 pin connector or whatever it was, you just put it on there, and then what you would have to do is you would solder a wire on this side and solder it to wherever the corresponding terminal needs to be to make that board work. So it was just a real simple way of doing it. But it is time consuming because you got to connect, at least on this one that I'm making, just about every connector. The only connectors I don't have to do is the player 2 because we're not using a player 2 or whatever. So I started making one of these right here, and I was just using regular wire, and I'm going to leave the insulation in between. But while I was doing it, I accidentally pulled one of the traces. Yeah, this trace right here, I pulled it up because I soldered the wire on this side, and then I sort of bent it up, and then I was stripping the insulation on the other side, and when I went to strip the insulation, it just pulled the whole trace right off. So I had to change up a little bit. What I decided to do was take solder wick right here and cut it to a certain length that would fit right into the center here. So I made 2 little marks on this poster board right here so I could go by. And I just take my cutters and I just line it up and clip it off. And that way you get all these, it don't have to be the exact size, but it looks better if they're close to the same size. So let me show you how I solder these on now. I'll take one of them and set it on the trace right there. And then all you got to do is take your soldering iron, very carefully lay it on one end to try to keep it from moving, which I'm not doing a very good job here now. Hold pressure down on it. Well, see, it's not all that easy. And then add the solder, and it'll soak through to the pad underneath. Then you can come over to the other side, same thing. And bam, that's it. So we just got to do that on the other side, down to about right here. This is where we're going to make the changes, so these are going to be wires on here. So I just thought I'd show you what's involved in soldering these little jumpers on here, and yeah, I'll come back when I'm finished with it. But anyway, just show you what's going on here. Let's fire up the game, and as you can see, this is all working fine. Hit the game, and the trackball works like it's supposed to, up and down, right and left. Okay. Now, take this board off, and let's put the Capcom Bowling on. And power it up. Okay, so let's credit up a game. Hit start button. And the right and left button is for the hook. So if I do the left button, it goes to the left, but the center button goes to the right. So that's why we had to remap the buttons. Now, as far as the trackball goes, up and down is left and right. And left and right is up and down. So they're backwards. So that's why we had to remap it. Okay. So now we put our adapter on, and then plug it into the TeamPlay harness. Turn it on. And now we should have a compatible game. Put a couple credits on. Hit player 1. Now, this button is the hook left. That button is the hook right. So our buttons are correct now. There you go, right and left is correct. Forward and backwards is correct. Waited too long. So now we have a playable game. Now the only question is going to be, will this work nice with the switcher? So let's find out. Let me just unplug this and set it aside. Okay, now there are a lot of switchers on the market. I only want a 2-board switcher because I'm only going to use these 2 boards in this cabinet. It's the only 2 trackball games I have. So with that said, I placed an order, and this has some other stuff in it. While I was at it, I ordered some stuff for another project. So let's open this up and get the switcher out, and you get a little preview of what else might be coming up in the future here. And this came from Mike's Arcade. And I got packing peanuts. Okay, well, here's our switcher. Put that aside. And what else did we get? Let's see if I can just get it lifted out of here, because I believe he's got it on a separate piece of cardboard to protect it. Okay. Now I got a box of packing peanuts. Oh, the joy. Okay. Well, what else did we get? Got some hardware. I got 4 carriage bolts to mount the trackball. And I got 4 metric screws that hold a Nintendo monitor on a Nintendo game. And I got the Double Donkey Kong instruction cards and the coin sticker, as well as the monitor surround that goes inside the cabinet that just blackens out around the edge of the monitor. So that was some things that I needed for my Double Donkey Kong project. So that's something that's going to be looked forward to if you're interested in that. Of course, the trackball bolts are for this trackball right here. So when we get to that point, all right, well, the main thing I need right now is the JAMMA switcher. Now, I went with Mike's JAMMA switcher because I only wanted a 2-game switcher. And I'm on the mindset, and I know a lot of people don't like it. I like my games, if I got a multi-game with more than 1 game board, I want the games booted up, and all you got to do is hit a button to switch between game boards. And that's what this allows me to do. It powers up both boards, so both the boards are active all the time. And if it will work, you switch between the games by pushing the player 1 and player 2 at the same time. If that is a problem because you have other multi-games hooked up to this that uses that same setup, I believe it's a jumper on here, probably right here, where you can actually hook up a wire through the JAMMA harness and have an actual physical button to push to switch between the games. But hopefully we're going to be able to utilize the player 1 and player 2. And the only question I got is this going to work with the trackball with the input wires to the trackball being reversed, hooked up to both games at the same time? Or am I going to have to put diodes to isolate the wires? So don't know, but we're going to find out. I'm not sure. I know you plug your harness into here, and then you plug your games here and here. I would think this would be the plug for the number 1 game, but I don't know. I don't know if it really matters. But we're going to plug, oh boy, that's tight. Okay, plug that one in there. And then we're going to plug this one in here. This might be a problem, finding enough room here. Okay, might have to set it up in the air a little bit. Okay, all right, I think that might work. All right, well, let's find out if this is going to work. Okay, I was correct. It boots up on this one, which kind of makes sense because they're in line. All right, well, let's find out if everything still works. Let's coin up a game. Yeah, trackball seems to work okay. Let's go bowling because we can try all three of our buttons here. All right. Yep. They all work. Trackball works. Okay, that works. All right. Let's cut it off. Cut it back on. Okay, now let's see if we can switch to the Capcom Bowling by pressing player 1 and player 2 at the same time. Bam! There we go. Boy, that's quick. Now, will it work? Okay, we got credits. Started the game. Yes. Now let's see if our right and left button works. Yep. All right. I'm happy with that. It works. And as I've played around with these bowling games, I've kind of got to like them, you know. I wasn't too really hip on them, to begin with, but it's a fun little game, and I can see where if you have people at a party, a gathering, this might interest quite a few people. Okay, well, I'm happy. This setup is going to work. Now, some might ask, well, why am I going to all this trouble? I don't even have a cabinet ready for it to put it in. Well, I like to get everything working game-wise before I actually have a cabinet to put it in. I'll throw up a picture here. I don't have pictures of everything, but when I built my asteroids years ago, I had all the parts sitting on a table, and the game was up and running, and I could play it sitting on a table before I even had a cabinet for it. I did the same thing. I don't have pictures of it, but I did the same thing for my Mach 3 laser game. Before I had a cabinet, I had everything laid out on a table, and I could actually play the game. Let me think, was there one more? Yes, I got a picture of this. Even though I haven't put it in the cabinet yet, I do have a cabinet that needs a lot of work. My Dragon's Lair 2. I got this going, and you can see it's hooked up to my big screen projection TV, which I still have, but it's currently not working, and it's at another location. But I saved it. I didn't want to throw it away because it can be fixed, but I just don't have room for it here. But as you can see in the picture, I had it up and running on the big screen TV. And at that time, I didn't have a cabinet. So yeah, those are projects that are in the future that I hope to get to. But anyway, for right now, we're going to try to concentrate on this game. I have a habit of starting projects, getting into them, and then moving on to something else before I finish it. So I'm going to make a commitment on this. We are going to finish this game before I do anything else. So what I got to do now is I done already pulled the monitor out of the Kicks cabinet, which is a G07. Have it sitting over here on the floor. So now that I know the game works, right now I just got it on this 4800 as a test monitor, and both games work well on both monitors, so I shouldn't have a problem with a G07. So next thing we're going to clean the workbench off. I'm going to put the G07 up here on the table, and we're going to go through the G07. If you watched the video where we got it working in the cabinet with the Capcom game before I did anything to it, just cleaned it up a little bit. The picture was real dim, and you could barely see it. So I don't know if the G07, if the tube is tired, the CRT, or if it's just needs a cap kit and some, you know, adjusting. So like I say, we're going to do that next. We're going to work on the G07. So stay tuned. Next video will be working on that G07 monitor. So if you like this kind of content, please be sure to subscribe. Comment. We've got a little wiggle going on there. That might be because that one power supply might not have enough power for both boards. I'll have to look into that. Anyway, or it could just be a flaky pot on the monitor. I'll check that. But anyway, yeah, like, comment, share, subscribe. You know the routine. So for now, this has just been another arcade fix. Have you had your arcade fix today?